Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the INFOWARS Nightly News. I'm your host, Aaron Dykes. Today is Monday, July 23rd, 2012.
Tonight, new details emerge and witnesses come forward as the false flag investigation intensifies. In the Dark Knight Massacre, Alex Jones breaks down the PSYOP. Then, how to stop a massacre that doesn't cost taxpayers money. A YouTube video of a senior citizen shooting two cyber cafe robbers in self-defense.
So tonight in the news, Batman massacre suspect James Holmes is in court, and survivors and witnesses say he just looks crazy. His eyes are demonic. He's there with the red hair. Didn't say anything in court, not so much the Joker now. Everyone's been commenting. So the real question is, was he drugged? Was he some kind of mind control suspect? While that evidence emerges, we have the eerie coincidence where they had the drill on the same day, just like on 9/11, just like on 7/7, and so many other incidences. Paul Joseph Watson has the story based off the Denver Post report of how the Rocky Vista University College of Osteopathic Medicine, just a few miles down the road, was holding a specialized disaster training class for 150 second-year medical students, along with other scenarios including terrorist attacks, hurricanes, and floods, was training students how to respond if a shooter fires at people in a movie theater, as well as using a bomb in the same attack scenario. That is a chilling coincidence, or perhaps a good deal more. Specifically, one of the scenarios being used to train the students how to respond if a shooter fires at people in a movie theater and use a bomb from the attack. That's the quote in the Denver Post. And we also have the witnesses. Now, whereas the police chief came out immediately and said there's only one suspect, we got him, it's the Joker, other witnesses said something different. We're going to play that video in just a second, but they said the gas canisters were thrown from different directions and clearly indicated somebody probably helped him get in through that exit door. Let's roll that clip now.
All the evidence we have, every single indicator is that this is all Mr. Holmes's activity, and that he wasn't particularly aided by anyone else.
Well, I noticed the guy walked in from into the auditorium, sat into the very front row to the far right, and he got a phone call. And most people, when they get phone calls in theaters, they go straight out into the lobby to answer it. This person went directly to the emergency exit to take his phone call, which I thought was unusual. He seemed like he had his foot propped open by the door, and from the crack, it looked like he was signaling somebody or looking for somebody to come his way.
As I was sitting down to get my seat, I noticed that a person came up to the front row, to the front right, sat down, and as credits were going, I noticed it seemed like he got a phone call. So he went out towards the emergency exit doorway, which I thought was unusual to take a phone call. And it seemed like he probably pried it open or probably did not let it latch all the way. Soon as the movie started, somebody came in, all black, gas mask, armor, and threw a gas can into the audience, and it went off, and then there was gunshots that took place.
From what we saw, he wasn't alone. He had someone with him because the second can of tear gas didn't come from his side. He was completely dressed in black, head to toe. From what we saw, it seemed like he had something over his face, probably to prevent him from breathing it in. And we can only assume that someone got him in.
All the evidence we have, every single indicator is that this is all Mr. Holmes's activity, and that he wasn't particularly aided by anyone else.
And what we need to do is change the way in which people think about guns, especially young people. We need to do this every day of the week and just really brainwash people into thinking about guns in a vastly different way. And just really brainwash people into thinking about guns in a vastly different way.
So this is the question we need to get into about the Batman massacre. Were there other suspects? Was he helped? Was this a false flag? That's why we're going to get into this. Not should we ban guns when there was already gun control in Aurora, but of course we're going to get into that as well. Now, we already covered this, but I'll bring it up again. The Homeland Security FBI memo warning of theater attacks, and they pointed to, among other things, the Moscow theater hostage crisis of 2002, when they had several hundred hostages. Many of them died, more than 120 of the hostages, as well as all the supposed Chechen terrorists who they knocked out with the gas, killed many of them. But, of course, it emerged the FSB was in the works and basically running the whole attack. Even that is all on Wikipedia, so we've covered that. And then we have Kurt Nemo's article from earlier today. Colorado shooter had more in common with paramilitary cops than Batman, really profiling all his gear and all the weapons he had collected. We estimated it was probably about $20,000 in gear between what he had on him at the theater and what was later found in his apartment. But of course, there again, it's reality blurring with fiction, because really this whole Dark Knight Batman series was based on Batman having paramilitary gear that he got from the Bruce Wayne Company, and he basically outfitted himself with the kind of riot cop uniform that we now see at every major protest, every time there's supposedly a terror attack. This is what we're being conditioned. Whenever something happens, we're supposed to see the savior in black riot cop gear. So I want to turn your attention now to a Financial Times article from 2 years ago, July 2010. Remember, we're in the Obama administration. Rahm Emanuel never let a good crisis go to waste. Obviously, the election is coming up. The big question with any terror attack, whether it's staged or not, is who benefits? Who's going to mourn on the backs of the victims and call for new controls, new policies, or just a re-election? Well, here's Obama facing a growing credibility crisis. He's had this terrible term. People don't like him. Now you've got Rob Shapiro, a former Clinton advisor, now an Obama advisor, saying the bottom line here is Americans don't believe in President Obama's leadership. He has to find some way between now and November of demonstrating that he is a leader who can command confidence, and short of a 9/11 event or an Oklahoma City bombing, I don't see how he could do that. And that is just one step away from directly calling for attacks to bolster Obama's popularity. Instead, it's the Rahm Emanuel policy of wait till there is a crisis, then let's exploit it to the hilt for Obama's political gain so he can get reelected. He's not the only one, as you know. You remember the Glenn Beck clip, but let's play it right now, where he says they're about to blame the next false flag on him. That really means anyone either on the right wing or who looks right wing.
I will be the guy who causes the next Oklahoma City. This is in a letter, an appeal to advertisers of Fox. Dear Fox advertisers, read this part of it. No one, left, right, center, wants to see another Oklahoma City. The next assassin may succeed. If so, there will be blood on many hands. They are setting up another Oklahoma City. They are claiming that one is coming, and they've already marked the one who caused it. You know, what's a few hundred men, women, and children when you could win back the House in 2012? I mean, wouldn't that be great? After all, the ends justify the means.
And they did push Glenn Beck off the air. He was, in some cases, exposing some real truth on Fox News. It did become uncomfortable. They did target his sponsors. But the bigger story is how they used the cutout pattern of whenever you expect an attack, then you get ready to blame it on your political enemies. But it gets deeper than that. Who is in the clip he's specifically talking about? It's Chris Matthews, and it's another Clinton advisor who is now an Obama advisor. His name is Mark Penn. Pay very close attention to the choice of words he uses. He wants the president to reconnect with the people through these crises. Let's roll the clip.
Listen to a clip from a Democratic pollster, Mark Penn, happened just the other day, and yet no one pays attention to it.
Cabinets don't really sell things. The president himself has to reconnect with the people. Remember, President Clinton reconnected through Oklahoma, right? And the president right now seems removed. And it wasn't until that speech that he clicked with the American public. Obama needs a similar kind.
You think words will work for?
So Clinton exploited the Oklahoma City staged false flag event. Again, we've had the witnesses on, the filmmakers of Noble Lie. They really covered it in depth. There's no doubt about that. And they praised Clinton for exploiting the crisis and using it to his own political gain. Among other things, they would go on to pass the assault weapons ban on the back of the Oklahoma City thing and the fear of these right-wing militia people. Now, you can't really see the date, although it is marked on that clip. That was November 4th, 2010. 2011, not long after the Robert Shapiro clip. Let's go to another clip of Chris Matthews and the same Clinton and Obama advisor, Mark Penn. But this one is from 1 week after the Gifford shooting. That would be January 2011. Let's roll that clip. Now, but hold on, before we roll that clip, I want to remind you, Mark Penn says the president needs to reconnect with the people. Will he reconnect? Let's roll the clip.
You once said on this program, and I want to get the context right, that every president looks forward at some point in their presidency to be president of the people.
Well, and I think the president rose to the occasion last night. He connected with the American people.
Well, he accomplished it on the backs of the Gifford shooting.
Nonpartisan way. He really reconnected, I think, to the American people. I think he underscored the reason why America elected him as president.
We may need to play that again just so it sinks in that he's using the key word of how he reconnected with the people after the Gifford shooting. The same language he used when calling for a new Oklahoma City, new 9/11 style attack. This Mark Penn guy said Obama needs to reconnect through these terror attacks. Here he is trying to exploit the Giffords clip. Play that same clip over again, please.
You once said on this program, and I want to get the context right, that every president looks forward at some point in their presidency to be president of the people.
Well, and I think the president rose to the occasion last night. He connected with the American people, and he did it in an extremely sensitive, nonpartisan way. He really reconnected, I think, to the American people. I think he underscored the reason why America elected him as president.
So clearly Obama reconnected on the back of the Gifford shooting, just as they hoped he would do. But what are they going to use it for? Let's page Rahm Emanuel. How do you let this crisis not go to waste? Could it be gun control? Let's roll the next part of the same clip. Still Chris Matthews, still Mark Penn calling for a new terror attack.
This is kind of a weird overlay here.
Look, I think this
of right-wing thinking, right-wing talking, and bring your gun.
This incident and the way the president's handled it, quite the opposite, is bringing back